Ladies and gentlemen, pray silence for the Chief Executive Officer of Global Futures and Foresight, Rohit Talwar.
Some of you are looking really confused. You're thinking, hang on, he cleared my plates about 20 minutes ago, but I am the speaker as well. I apologise if I look a little bit nervous, but I live in one of the roughest parts of London, and when a guy walks up behind you with a hammer, the first thing you do is not clap. I was asked when I was briefed about the session to reflect as well on some of the kind of the highlights of the speeches that have gone before. And there were some fascinating issues and topics and facts given out. But the one thing that really struck me was something that Bob said when he talked about the decline of Sheffield and attributed it in particular to problems at Meadowhall and what I thought he said were issues at Supertramp. Now, I remember them as a band, and I mourned like everyone else when they broke up, but I didn't realise they were single-handedly responsible for the end of Sheffield. I'm also on the horns of a dilemma because the boys down here in the table in front of me have been having a sweepstake on how long the speeches would last in total. And they were really kind, they let me join in. But the only time I could get was 36 minutes. So I either stop in about 20 seconds and take the 200 quid or deliver the speech. The choice is yours. Now, I am very, very conscious that I'm the only thing that stands between, you sitting here and you going out there and drinking your body weight in alcohol. So I will try and be brief. When people ask me what I do and I say I'm a futurist, the first thing they kind of do is they say, well, can you predict what my future income's going to be? Can you tell me when my kids are finally going to leave home? Or, can you tell me how my football team's going to do in the future? Now, I don't normally do predictions, but there is one exception, which is if your team is Tottenham. In which case, whatever era you ask me, you will always be pants. You are pants and you're never going to be any different. And when Tottenham fans say to me, but what about the Carling Cup? What if we beat you in the Carling Cup? And I have to explain that being a futurist, I know all about time travel. So I also understand that the only way that could be possible is if Jose Mourinho discovers time travel in the future and comes back and messes up the game in order to stiff Abramovich. That's the only way that Tottenham could possibly win. Time travel joke, lost on you all. Won't do that one again. Not enough Tottenham fans. I was told, not to make any jokes about the Sheffield football teams, and I agree, because it's wrong to mock the afflicted. I get paid anyway. Actually, I've got to explain that when I grew up and I used to watch the football scores on television, I used to think that when you got relegated from the 4th Division, you went into the Scottish 1st Division. So, but when I tell people I'm a futurist, the first thing they do is, after they've sort of said about the prediction stuff, they say, well, they get serious and they go, well, surely the future, if you're about helping people understand the future, then surely the biggest issue in the future is actually an issue today, and it's about the relationship of the US with the rest of the world. And then they think about it for a bit and they say, actually, it's not even the US and the rest of the world that's the biggest issue. They kind of they reflect for a while and they boil it down to the relationship between the US and France. And then they kind of get the aha moment when they say, actually, the problems all stem from the relationship between Bush and Chirac. Now, here's a little bonus for you coming to the dinner tonight. I can actually explain to you why the two of them never sent each other Christmas cards. It actually dates back to a train journey 6 years ago when Bush, Chirac and Kylie Minogue were travelling through the Alps together on a train. And the train went through a tunnel and the lights went out and you heard a kissing sound followed by a slap. And when they came out of the tunnel, Bush was holding his face. And Bush is thinking, I better know what happened. Chirac tried to kiss Kylie. She thought it was me, so she gave me a slap. Kylie Minogue is thinking, I better know what happened. Bush tried to kiss me, missed, kissed Chirac, and Chirac naturally gave him a slap. Chirac is thinking, this is excellent. Every time we go through a tunnel and the lights go out, I can make a kissing sound and slap George Bush. I don't do after dinner speeches. When I tell my son, who's 8, I said to him, I'm going up to Sheffield, I'm going to do a speech after dinner. And he's like a real reflector. And after a while he went, Dad, I said, yeah. He said, you know when they finish dinner? I said, yeah. He said, can they just go? And I said, it's up to them, really. He said, I would. Okay, so what do I really do? My job is, I run a think tank, and we spend our time looking at the economies, the markets, the issues that are shaping the future. And I spend about 60% of my time traveling around the world looking at the people and the organizations and the ideas that might well be shaping the future. And one of the things I observe is that people really are starting to fall into two categories. There are those who see what's coming, see change coming, see the challenges, see the opportunities, and see them in quite a positive light. They see it as something that they can respond to, and they give themselves permission to believe that whatever their past, it's not their potential. So a kind of shorthand view of who those people might be are the future. And then there's a second group who live in their excuses. They live in all the problems, all the challenges, why it can't be done. And for them, you know, the dictionary definition of change is a bad state to be avoided. You know, perhaps a shorthand for that is the French. Is anyone I haven't offended yet? Because there's plenty of time. And what I think, you know, what really brings out the difference between those two groups is in their response to what might be a coming economic downturn. The latter group tend to view it as a crisis situation. They have hope as their main strategy that they'll get through it. They work their people harder. They try and drive people to get more sales or to make more phone calls. They cut costs, and they hope they can just hang on and survive. The second group are actually saying, you know what? This is an opportunity. We had plan A, and most people have a plan A that's about doing more next year than we did this year, more revenues, more profits, whatever. But they're now saying, well, maybe we need a plan B, a plan C, a plan D, to think about a range of different possible futures and to think about how we're going to achieve whatever we want to achieve under any circumstances. And they're actually saying that this is an opportunity to focus more on innovation, and in particular on the emerging markets, looking at what's coming and saying, how do we take advantage of some of these things, and how do we see opportunity in the changes coming in our world? So what I want to do for you in the next few minutes is just share with you a few of the big changes that I think we see coming, and some of the opportunities that sit within that. I don't know which group you see yourselves in, whether you see yourselves as the optimists who can create a positive future, whatever your past has been, or you'll see yourselves as just having reasons why it's never going to happen. But I'm just going to go through a few, and I'll leave you to make your own choices. And the first issue is around aging. Aging is actually a big challenge for our society, but it also creates a big opportunity. Where we stand today, if you're under the age of 50, there is a 90% chance that you're going to live to 100. There is a 90% chance that our children will live to 120. The two fastest growing age groups in society today in the UK are the over 80s and the over 100s. I don't know why the over 90s missed out. I just assume it was like bad drugs in the 60s. At the same time, between 65 and 75% of all the wealth in this country is owned by people aged over 65. And about 75% of that sits in the hands of women. So those of you who've already worked out that your pension isn't going to do it, the alternative retirement plan is to start dating widows.